Before start this video, please subscribe my channel and click on bell icon. Thanks.
Most of us know about golden boy Zeus, the king of the gods who was known for his strength, or about Athena, who was said to be the goddess of wisdom. However, some ancient gods seem to be focused more on the dark side than on helping humanity. Here are 10 ancient gods and goddesses who were all about drinking, debauchery, and the dark side of life. Related, 10 quenching legends, myths, and stories involving alcohol. 10 Bacchus. The cult of Bacchus. Livy's Bacchanalian affair. Bacchus was an ancient Roman god who was in charge of wine, revelry, and fertility. In other words, he was fond of the more carnal pleasures in life. On top of that, this god was in charge of the theater and the arts in general. As you can probably imagine, Bacchus was associated with some pretty wild festivals. These festivals were known as Bacchanalia and involved heavy drinking and dancing. Many of these festivities took over the city, leading to an abundance of debauchery and wickedness throughout the entire town. In fact, the festivals got so out of hand that in 186 BC, the Roman Senate decided to put a stop to them. The Senate was concerned that moral corruption and lack of supervision were causing the festivals to run a little too wild. 1. 9 Xōchipilli, Aztec god of drugs. Documentary. Xōchipilli is an Aztec god who was the patron of a number of pleasures in life. Love, fertility, art, flowers, and homosexuality were all things that this particular god was in charge of. In fact, the name Xōchipilli even translates to Prince of Flowers. Whereas Bacchus was associated with wine, archaeologists believe that Xōchipilli had more to do with hallucinogens. It's believed that when worshippers went to adore this particular god, they would take hallucinogenic mushrooms. Some statues of this deity have even been found to be sitting amid psilocybin mushrooms. Besides the mushrooms, ceremonies surrounding this god usually involved pulque, an alcoholic drink made from agave. Then, during the ceremonies, a good deal of male prostitution would take place, as this particular god oversaw homosexuality. Today, this god has largely disappeared from Mexican culture, except in museums. However, pulque still remains a popular drink in Mexico, and you can now participate in that part of the ceremony without having to worry about any of the other debaucheries that once occurred. 2. 8 Cybele. Roman cults. Cybele. Cybele was a goddess who originated in Phrygia, an ancient district in west-central Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, and was considered the mother of the gods. Despite being a mother figure, Cybele was definitely a goddess who had a lot to do with debauchery. This particular goddess had a series of rites associated with her, which were called the orgia. These rites involved a great deal of drinking and hectic music, as well as wild dancing by the participants. During these orgies, self-castration and other forms of mutilation were also common. Despite all this debauchery, the Greek and Roman governments eventually had enough. Like what happened with the festivals of Bacchus, the government eventually decided to tone these festivities down in order to keep the public order and accommodate people's sensibilities. 3. 7 Mayahil Pulque, drink of the gods. Mexico. Unexplained. Xōchipilli wasn't the only Aztec god who seemed to. Another god who seemed to have enjoyed partying was Mayahil. Mayahil was known as the goddess of fertility, the Maguey, agave, goddess, and the ruler of the 8th day and the 8th trecina. She was thought of as bringing love to mankind and lifting the spirit of people who, at times, appeared to be miserable. She was a representation of the many products produced from a maguey plant, including mezcal and pulque, a foaming drink made from fermenting maguey aguamiel, which is sap or honey water. Pulque played an important role since it was the traditional drink that Aztecs consumed during religious ceremony. One myth surrounding Mayahul says that the goddess was married to and impregnated by pate cattle. He was known as the Lord of the Root of Pulque and was also referred to as the god of healing and the god of medicine. He was known to give comfort when ill or sick through resources such as peyote, magic mushrooms, and herbs in the form of datura, morning glory, and cannabis. These methods were used in healing, shamanism, fortune-telling, and public religious ceremonies. These elements also helped tranquilize sacrificial victims and provoke the sacramental nature of the ritual. Their children were the 400 rabbits, also known as the gods of drunkenness or the Sensen-Tatokten. They represented an endless number of deities or gods drinking the juice from an agave plant or characters a person could exhibit when over-intoxicated. 4. 6. Batet. Batet, the Egyptian cat goddess. Ancient Egypt's pantheon of gods is full of unique characters, such as Osiris, Isis, and Ra. One of their gods who was associated with some of the more earthly pleasures of life, however, is Batet. Batet was a feline goddess who oversaw women, pleasure, passion, and joy. Now, with a goddess who governs those sensual pleasures, you can probably imagine what the festival of Batet was like. During this festival, hundreds of thousands of Egyptians would gather together and drink copious amounts of wine. From there, the disciples would engage in dancing and revelry, getting drunk and celebrating their beloved goddess. Besides the festival, some sources also state that Batet appreciated people burning cannabis at her altar. Others may actually have consumed the stuff during rituals or worship sessions, showing just one more way that this goddess was fond of the more contraband things in life. 5. Sekhmet, the wildest party in ancient Egypt. The festival of drunkenness. Closely related to Batet is the Egyptian goddess Sekhmet. This goddess was particularly fond of wine, as can be seen in her mythology story. According to legend, Sekhmet was a goddess who was charged with the destruction of mankind after finding out about the humans' plot to overthrow him. Sekhmet was transformed into a lion and set about destroying the humans. However, Ra changed his mind and felt sorry for the humans. In an effort to stop Sekhmet from finishing the task he had assigned her, Ra flooded the fields with red beer. Sekhmet didn't realize that the red liquid was beer and drank so much of it that she fell asleep, saving humanity from destruction. To celebrate the fact that Sekhmet got drunk and forgot about killing humans, the ancient Egyptians celebrated the festival of drunkenness once a year. The whole point of this festival was to get so drunk that you'd end up falling asleep. Then, once worshippers woke up, they'd worship Sekhmet through sex and dancing. 6. For ETI, the history of Baijiu, Chinese alcohol. Wukong, China is another country that's worshipped drunken gods at one point or another. In China, the god who once oversaw drinking and revelry was a god named ETI. Thanks for watching. Credits to listverse.com. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.